Call to order our regular board meeting. Today is Tuesday, February 12th, 2013. And I'd like to ask for a roll call, please.
Director Coletta?
Here.
Director Casey?
Here.
Director Kaler?
Here.
Director Rips?
Here.
President Maynard?
Here. If you all please stand up and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Today we have some presentations. Up first, we have Orange County Sheriff Department giving the quarterly crime statistics. If you can please come forward. Obviously, Lieutenant Gunzel, you have changed dramatically.
I have changed dramatically. Even the hair has grown over the weekend, huh?
If you
How
could
are
please
you?
introduce yourself. Please.
I'm Deputy Juliana Webb. I work for our neighborhood enhancement team in North Operations. I'm the community-oriented police services deputy.
Okay.
I'm the cops deputy.
Welcome.
So, thank
Welcome,
you.
Deputy.
On the statistics for December, specifically for 2012, we had one robbery, one assault with a deadly weapon. These have gone up. We've had 44 residential burglaries, 16 vehicle burglaries, 2 commercial burglaries, 22 grand thefts, 37 petty thefts, 25 vandalisms, 4 graffiti vandalisms, 6 stolen vehicles, and 4 recovered stolen vehicles. There was a total of 12 incidents for the month of December. Crime increased 200% between November and December of 2012. Crime increased 50% between December 2012 and December 2011. Overall, 2012 decreased 5% compared to 2011. Would you like your 5-year comparison that you have on the second sheet?
Please.
Your 5-year comparisons are showing that 2011 has surpassed all previous years in total crimes. The highest crime for the 5-year comparisons are petty thefts, with residential burglaries coming in second, with the highest incidence for Rossmoor. 2013 will be added to the graph at the end of the year to show the comparisons. And so that you know, not just Rossmoor, all of unincorporated areas, burglaries are up.
Do we have an explanation for that?
Do you want my opinion, or would you like, no, I'm teasing. Times are hard, times are rough. People are taking whatever they can, wherever they can.
Is it just unincorporated areas, or is it cities
It's
as well?
everywhere. It's everywhere, cities as well. Mostly smash and grabs out of vehicles. And the distraction method, you've heard of that? 2 people come to the house, 1 knocks on the door, 1 goes behind to the... Right, those are up as well. Those are the most popular right now.
So even other cities have experienced a similar increase percentage-wise in these types of crimes?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
How well do we fare compared to our other unincorporated?
It's about the same across the
About
board.
the same across the board?
Correct.
You know, it would be interesting to see crime stats not compared against other unincorporated areas, but maybe against versus Los Alamitos, Garden Grove, and Seal Beach, neighboring communities that I know are not part of the sheriff, but
Right.
it would be interesting just to see if they're targeting one area more than something else. You know?
It's not just one area. It's all over.
So you actually have the stats for the Los Al Police
I don't have
Department?
those, but I speak to the crime prevention specialists in other areas.
For Los Al as well?
For Los Alamitos, Garden Grove, the areas you just mentioned, it's across the board, it's everywhere. They aren't targeting one specific area, just like Rossmoor. You know, they do try to get the streets closest to the freeway here in Rossmoor. But in Garden Grove, it's not any closer to the Garden Grove freeway than it is in the most northern part of Garden Grove. What I would like to point out, though, the hours of activities that the burglaries are occurring mostly in Rossmoor is 1 a.m., 3 a.m., and 4 a.m.
Yeah.
So it's not during the day, which that in itself is a little bit different. Most burglaries do occur during the day, and I think that trend is slowly changing.
Last quarter, when we heard the report, it was like, I want to say, 11 to 2 o'clock during people's working hours. So I would commend you that whatever you're doing in the daytime definitely shows, at least in this graph.
Well, it's not just us. Yes, we've increased our patrols, but the citizens are more aware. They call more often on the vehicles that aren't familiar here, or people digging through your trash. I was just discussing that with Bev and Dorothy. Usually in other areas, trash day. We have a high crime during the trash day. So I want people to call when people are going through the trash or they're not familiar to the neighborhood. So more people are calling, and we're responding to that.
Okay.
Deputy, with regards to the residential burglaries occurring in the early morning hours, from what you know and looking back at those instances, were those characterized where no one was home?
Most of those are going to be your vehicle burglaries where they're smash and grabs.
I've got a question for you. You mentioned that there's increased crime on trash days. What's the theory in back of that?
The theory to that is people who are going through the trash.
And that's theft?
They may not be going through your trash. They may be looking at your homes to see who's home, who's not home, who's there during the day, who's watching out, who's going to be on the phone, who's walking the neighborhood.
So the trash is a way to see they're
The
casing the
neighborhood,
joint, right?
correct.
Interesting.
And there is an Orange County ordinance, you may not take recyclable items out of the trash can. That is an Orange County code of ordinance.
Huh,
Good to know.
Has to be recyclable.
good to know.
I don't know if you create these grids or whatever. Is there a way to get the actual crime next to the number on these reports?
I do not create these. Our statistical analytical unit does. And I do know they're looking into new software, so they can pretty much make whatever graph you would like, but not right now.
It would be great just to have that next to it, so, because I was trying to keep track while you were saying what they
Right.
were. and
It's much
figure
more
out the
simpler to
numbers.
read, I know.
Yeah. What is a 459R?
That is a
Resberg?
residential burglary.
Yeah.
Or you can give us flashcards if you study something.
Did I misunderstand something? The residential burglaries are not occurring during the daytime, but they're now
I didn't say they were. I said the hours that were of activity were 1, 3, and 4, which were the highest.
hours of activity for all
Correct.
crime.
Right,
So that would include Resbergs.
correct.
Well, I will say one thing, even though you say you don't produce this information, these graphs, to me, get better and better and easier to follow, so, and provide additional information each quarter, so whoever you said was preparing these, I commend them, at least from my perspective.
Right, like I said, they're limited. They're getting a new software, they're going to be even better.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Anything else?
Please continue.
For the month of December 2012, petty thefts had the highest number of incidents. There were 6 total. December crimes, the highest number of crimes for Rossmoor were petty thefts, 6 incidents. Crime increased 50% overall comparing December of 2012 to December of 2011. Which day of the week has the most activity? Thursday to Friday. Anything else?
I like the map that you put in, or whoever on your team put in. I don't know, there it is, right there.
Our crime prevention specialist put this together.
Yeah.
Which
This
is going-
actually gives a lot of highlight, at least to me, that you actually see kind of your theory that a lot of the crime is the access, meaning it's near the arteries on the way out, it's on the major streets for access. So this is a good map, good tool that we didn't have before, so thank you.
Correct. Our team put that together, and like I said, hopefully the analytical team for all of Orange County will create them much like this.
So Deputy, I've got a question for you. If we take this map, this is great data. How are you folks in law enforcement utilizing this map to alter your strategies?
These are
you-
disseminated to the deputies who work in this area.
Okay,
So they can
would-
study the map as well.
So they would patrol more potentially in these
Correct.
higher risk areas,
Correct.
or give more visibility? All right, okay.
Also, since the last meeting, our Rossmoor deputies are stationed out of the Stanton substation. They no longer come from headquarters in Santa Ana, so the response time will be even closer, or sooner, because they're closer.
Very good.
What do you make of the two burglaries that are located sort of middle of the track close to the 605? I mean, do you think they came from the freeway, or, because those are not,
On Kensington and Argyle?
those are not towards the entrance
Yeah.
exits of the community. Do you know what the?
I
do you have any-
can't guess for them
Do you
now.
have any history on those? There's no
No.
information, you just have this, okay. Never mind.
Can you get the same type of a heat map for the 12 months and for multiple years?
That would take some time, and I'd have to request that through the lieutenant.
Next time, that would be interesting to see, because then we'd get a bigger data.
With the new
data set.
software, I know they can do that monthly and overlap it.
Nice.
And when's that new software coming in?
They have to buy it.
What's that?
They have to buy it. They're looking into it right now.
So it's a long time.
Correct.
All right, okay.
But if that's something our crime prevention specialist will do, like I said, I will ask.
Okay.
Do you have the crime map data information with you?
I do not.
Pages right behind it?
Oh, yes, I do. I'm sorry.
So the top two are the ones that are on Kensington and Piedmont, which are those two that are, now, can you just translate what it says here?
It's a residential burglary that occurred 12/24 between 1 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. on Monday on Kensington. So they have no description.
No value.
Yes. And they've removed that. I don't have the information. If they've removed it here, I don't have the
Okay, got it.
details
So
for
it says
that.
that next one was bracelet and watches, a $3,000 value.
Correct.
Okay.
Those items are smaller and easier to carry.
Right.
So the first one in Kensington, there doesn't say a point of entry, but the other one is in the rear of the house, I guess. Is that, if I'm reading that correctly?
On the one on Piedmont?
Yeah.
Yes. It just says rear, so I don't know if it was a slider or if it was a broken window, I'm unsure.
Okay, thank you.
Interesting.
Any more questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, for a presentation, I am recommending that we come back to it. The principal of Weaver School has another commitment, but we'll be here at a later time. Is everyone cool with that?
Yeah, I'm good.
Excellent.
Okay. Do we have any additions to the agenda? Present, I see none. Okay, so we will move to the public forum. Any person may address the Board of Directors at this time upon any subject within the jurisdiction of the Rossmoor Community Service District. However, any matter that requires action may be referred to staff at the discretion of the board for a report and action as a subsequent board meeting. So I will open this up for anyone to come up here. This is kind of your one chance in our board meeting to speak your mind. Try to keep it to 3 minutes, and we welcome your input.
Hello, Board of Directors. I'm Michael Williamson. I live at 3192 Kittrick Drive, Rossmoor. I am a life rank Boy Scout from local Troop 671, and I would like to do my Boy Scout Eagle project in Rossmoor. I choose Rossmoor because I live here and I think I have a project that works with the Boy Scout Conservation Code. My mom tells me that the sprinkler system at Triangle Park needs some expensive irrigation system equipment replaced. My Eagle project idea is to replace the plants in Triangle Park with xeriscape plants, different kinds of rocks, gravel, bark chips, and some other things that don't need much water, if any. The first step in my Eagle project is to ask the beneficiary if they like the project, and if so, then I would like to ask who the contact would be to schedule a starter meeting. I am leaving my contact information with you and ask that you consider my Eagle Project idea and let me know when we can get together and discuss it in more detail. Thank you.
Thank you. I myself am an Eagle Scout, so I completely support and applaud you, not only for moving along the rank, but giving thought to your community and community service. That's well applauded, and thank you for that. I would like to direct you to work directly with our staff. Being a government entity, there's certain extra little steps you're going to have to take, and I'm going to refer this to our staff and you to work out, and then it will be brought back to us so we could see the scope of project, et cetera. But I'm very supportive, and at any time, as a fellow Eagle Scout and Scout, contact me anytime. I would like to support your efforts, but please work with our staff.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Very
and if he doesn't help you out, I was an Eagle Scout as well, so I'll make sure to help you, okay? Okay, if you can push on.
They're everywhere.
How about you, Jeffrey?
I know a few Eagle Scouts.
I do as well.
Michael, can I have your contact information? And thank you.
Is there anybody else from the general audience who would like to come up here and have words?
Can I invite somebody up?
Why, of
from the
course you
audience?
can.
I'd like to invite the girls softball rep that's sitting in the third row back. I would very much appreciate just like a 60-second update on what's happened and what's coming up for the next month. If you could help the board out, that would be great. You don't need to stay for the rest of the meeting, but if you could just give us like 60 seconds.
Sure. Chad Stewart, Los Alamitos girls softball. We are starting our spring season, and we just had our carnival here at Rush last weekend, which was a great success. Albeit our numbers are down this year with registration, we are still doing pretty well as a league. Numbers across the board in the state are down for ASA softball, girls softball, but we're still surviving, we're doing well. Okay. We have a U6 division, which typically plays here at Rush Park, and our 8U, 10U, and 12U teams also play at Rossmoor Park. Teams were just formed in the last couple weeks, so we're starting our practices. So far, no issues with any of the neighborhood people around the area. Our MOU is in play, and which has helped with that. So the league is definitely aware of their complaints. On weekends, we go and we put the signs out as a courtesy to our neighbors to keep noise level down, parking issues, and so forth. We haven't had any complaints. I'm the neighborhood liaison officer, so if there is a complaint, it comes to me or Mr. Giacomini, who is the president. So far, my phone's pretty quiet, so that's good. But it's an exciting time right now. My daughter plays over there, and so far, so good. We're hoping for another good year. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
One other point besides that, I'm wondering if CHP has any crime stats that we can piggyback on the sheriffs. Do they do it law enforcement? And Rossmoor, is it just traffic, or is there any other crime stats that they can share and maybe develop?
I think that's a very good question. I'd like to direct, Henry, do you have an answer to that?
Our sheriff's deputy's in the back of the room, and I think she could answer that question.
Okay.
No, they wouldn't have crime stats. They would have the traffic, as you pointed out. So they wouldn't have anything to do with the burglaries or anything like that. It would literally be just traffic.
Just traffic.
Correct.
Okay.
So if you wanted the DUIs and any traffic collisions, they would have that.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Does any other board director want to invite someone up here? I actually like that. It's a little change of pace. You.
Not at this time.
Actually, I see
I think
someone.
I'd like to invite Dorothy up to come speak.
Okay. Director Rips would like to invite Dorothy up here from the RHA.
I go out and live there.
Crazy.
I'm telling you.
You started
I'm
with
Dorothy
Trent.
Fitzgerald, a resident of Rossmoor. I would just like to call to your attention and also to the community that the Rossmoor Homeowners Association has going to be having Jane Creedler of the Contractor State Licensing Board come a week from Thursday, and she will be speaking on how homeowners can protect themselves when planning something as large as a very large home remodel or just having other work done on their house. Liability issues will be discussed, as well as licensing regulations, bonding, insurance, and permits. And the meeting, of course, will include a question and answer period. The State Contractors Licensing Board has been in the process of contacting homeowners associations in areas where they have received numerous calls regarding unlicensed contractors. And so this is the reason why we're having this presentation. Actually, Ms. Creedler contacted us. She was here in Rossmoor about a little over a year ago when former State Assembly member Jim Silva was instrumental in having a senior scam stoppers meeting here one morning. She was actually one of 6 speakers that day, so of course she could not speak at length about this matter, but she contacted us, I think it was late August, early September, and wanted to come and speak with us to the community again, and so that is the reason why we are having this meeting. And I invite all of you to attend if you're available. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Beverly Houghton with the Rossmoor Homeowners Association, and I just want to take this opportunity to update you all on the Rossmoor Community Festival, which is Sunday, May 5th, and we appreciate the cooperation with the RCSD in putting together this annual event. Anybody interested in being a vendor or a sponsor can go on our website and download the forms to do that, and we do have a lot of applications coming in already. We will be having a full event just like we did last year. We'll have the car show, the dog parade. The Sheriff's Department has already planned where they're going to land the helicopter in the parking lot, and it's going to be another great event. Thank you.
Thank you. Doesn't look like there's anyone else who wants to address the board, so we'll move on to the next part of our agenda. Section D, reports to the board. Item 1, report of the Public Works CIP Committee regarding mid-year capital projects and budget adjustments.
Mr. President and members of the board, we have 3 reports to the board, and the first one, as you mentioned, is the report of the CIP Public Works Committee, agenda item D1. In accordance with policy, staff met with the CIP Public Works Committee on January 22nd to review the current project list and Fund 40 budget. The committee discussed the addition of 3 new projects. First of all, the first project was the Rossmoor Park remote lighting project at an estimated cost of $8,500. The second new project was iPads for board and staff, including a charging locker at a total estimated cost of $5,279. Ms. Deering has provided a draft board policy should this project be added to the project list. She also has performed substantial research in this area, which is included in your agenda. Also, we have Mr. Mike Ryan of Brea IT. Should any members of the board have any questions that they would like to ask him regarding the iPads or draft policy. And the third project, security cameras project with estimates to be determined. The CIP committee has recommended that this project be added to the project list with a to be determined amount. Also, I'd just like to note that the above recommendations are incorporated into the second report to the board, which is the mid-year budget adjustment.
Okay. So at this point, what's the action?
Well, First of all, I'd like to know if the board had any questions about the materials in the agenda. Like I said, we do have Mr. Mike Ryan here for AIT, if anyone had any questions regarding the iPads. And if there aren't any questions, then to move on, accept the report and move on to the next report.
Okay.
And then the recommendations, of course, will be formally approved in agenda item G1,
Okay.
which includes the resolution. So this section's actually to present the report of the committee.
Okay. Are there any questions about the report?
Well, I don't know if this is the appropriate time for it, but I noticed that there were two options listed, where one would be you'd use a district-provided iPad as opposed to one where it would be your own device. I guess the question I have is, would it be possible to use a combination of the two, where let's say two board members wanted to do one thing and the others wanted to go the other direction in terms of, let's say, providing their own?
Well, when the CIP committee discussed it, they sort of vetted that out and kind of came to the conclusion that we were going to go with just one device, the iPad.
Right.
Is that correct?
Yes.
That's right.
I would like to direct you, Director Casey, to page 56 of 219. This is, 56 of 219.
Okay.
This, the staff put together, and just to give texture to people here, it's not about iPads, it's about going paperless. So it's us adopting PDF versions instead of the time and effort to put together these big books in paper. And you can see on this one here.
The cost-benefit analysis, is that what that is?
That's what that is. And
Okay.
in fact, I think Liz is the author of this sheet. So can you walk us through page 56 of 219, please?
Page 56, okay. Oh, okay. Well, basically, I just compared the traditional paper costs that we have now with what it would save us if we went paperless. And as you can see, we have substantial savings that we would see a recovery in year 2 and 3. Of course, some of those numbers might fluctuate a bit based upon what type of iPad we purchase.
Sure.
But basically, those numbers are correct. And if you have any questions for me,
So basically, if I look at year 3, it's basically, it pays for itself. Is that how I read this chart?
yes.
Okay. Plus there's also savings in just people, no, that's in year 1. Is this, okay, so if I look at this total, it says, and if I see the current traditional paper cost total, $5,085, right? Is that per year, or is that a cumulative 3-year?
No, that was for the year, yes.
Okay, so it's not in 3 years, it pays for itself in basically a year.
Yeah, it's going to still cost us $200 more this year, but these years are going to save us $5,000 and $5,000 operationally.
Yeah, I think we should just, it doesn't make sense. No, it's good, this is outstanding stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, why would you not do a 12-month payback?
Exactly.
12-month ROI on anything? I mean, that's like, you already spent
Just the
money.
time and effort and materials and going green and...
Nobody has to drive this stuff to our house either.
Exactly.
That's not.
That's one of the savings, yeah.
Yeah. Going PDF
That's great.
and paperless is definitely the route to go. So at least that's my theory. Is there any other questions anyone might have?
No, it's fantastic.
Did that answer your question, or?
Well, it partially answered the question. I'd already gone through the part about the cost savings, and I totally agree. It's the way to go. But also the other part of the question was, when we go in this direction, assuming we do go along with it, the other part of the question still is if everyone would have to either use the district device or you'd have the option of using it, or you could use your own iPad if you had one.
It really is recommended that we all go with a district purchase device for a number of reasons. There's a lot of security issues involved, which I did include in the agenda package, to keep your
Right.
work device separate from your home device and not mix the two.
Those are my feelings as well, but I didn't see anything in there where there was like necessarily a recommendation to go one way or the other. But I
Well-
concur that that would definitely be the best way to go.
Well, I think after, a decision is made as to what to purchase, then
Sure.
certainly we could go forward with that and go further and answer those questions. But I did include a lot of, the policy is sort of really important to put a
Yeah,
policy in
understood. No,
place.
that's really good stuff.
And that, I think I included a lot of highlighted areas as to why it's really important to have separate devices, and kind of created a draft policy.
Right. Yeah, excellent. That's my only question.
Well, I think what they're saying is probably when you talk about best-in-class way of doing things, having everyone on the same platform, the same thing, and also, here's a device that's intent is 100% community service. Do your own apps on your own iPad,
Agreed.
So, so I think that makes sense. So-
Okay.
So, any more questions before we move to the next?
Is there anything
Actually,
we should be asking since you came all this way down here?
I'm here for any questions you'd like to ask.
Yeah, so they're not going to have to drive and drop the iPads off at our house, are they? I mean, why don't they just send out the agenda in a PDF format or something like that? It seems like...
Exactly. You'd be using several applications on the iPad itself. We use an application called Dropbox.
Yeah.
That Liz will prepare it, put it in Dropbox. It's web-based, and you will be able to just download that wirelessly.
Username, password, Bob just drops it, yeah.
Right,
okay.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's kind of the point, so they don't have to drop off a physical.
So is the intent
Right.
that we are keeping the iPads with us, or they're going to be kept here? And what was I remember you were talking about something different before.
Well, we would be purchasing a special a safe and a charging station where the iPads can reside. So I guess it would probably be better if you took it home and worked with it. But of course, if you needed to drop it by the office and keep it with us, you could do that as well.
Yeah, but the purpose of this particular first segment is, does this belong on the capital improvement project list, yes or no? When it comes to the policies, that's a separate agenda item that we'll get to, that we'll all vote on, of how do we use it, what are the terms, what sign-offs do we do, how does it work? So these are all good questions, but those will come up after the fact when we sign off that this is part of this year's budget and this.
I'm not asking you any more questions.
Okay. But he is here in case someone did have a question.
Well,
so.
if I may go back a moment.
Sure.
You brought up a good point by bringing us back to center, and the whole point of the precursor of this topic was to get people aware that you were seeking, or staff is seeking, our input on whether one, two, or all three of the items should be on the CIP budget for this fiscal year. And I think they all three should be on the CIP budget as action items potentially that we would exercise. We could always back away at a later time if there's a different thought, but at least get it on the calendar for the CIP committee and the budget associated with each of those three items.
Okay.
Moving forward, and the nuts and bolts as to whether they work or not, or whether we wish to expend the dollars, another discussion.
Yep.
So I would move to have the three proposed items, because you saw it as
Yes.
action, as a possibility. No one said anything. So I'll move to have all three items placed on the capital improvement project for this fiscal year.
and also included in the mid-year budget adjustment.
That's
Right.
it.
Okay. Is there a second to the
I'll
motion?
second that.
Okay. Let's call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
That would only be Bill, because we were on the CIP committee and brought it here.
So, okay, we're going to move forward then to the next item, which is our consent calendar.
Oh, no, no, no,
Oh,
no,
it's
no,
not?
no, no, no.
Am I jumping ahead?
Yeah,
You
you're
are.
jumping
I
ahead.
am jumping ahead. There we go. Sorry about that. We're now on the report of the Budget Committee
Yes.
regarding the mid-year budget adjustments.
Yes, agenda item D2. Mr. President, member of the boards, Next, we have the report of the Budget Committee regarding mid-year budget adjustments. Agenda item D2. In accordance with policy, staff met with the Budget Committee on January 31st to review the mid-year changes to the budget that we do on an annual basis every February. And where appropriate, changes have been made to the 2012-2013 budget, and the committee recommends approval of those changes to Funds 10, 20, and 40 as detailed in the adjusted budget report provided to you in your agenda. Adjustments were made to account for estimated increases and decreases in original 2012-2013 budgeted revenue and expense amounts, as well as for the recommended adjustments to the CIP list. Also, as you're aware, our auditor recommended the transfer of $240,000 from Fund 20 to Fund 10 to account for unpaid administrative fees from prior years. The mid-year adjusted budget accounts for this transfer as well. Overall, appears that we are tracking budget closely. Are there any questions regarding the mid-year budget adjustment?
No questions?
No, I would move for the fiscal year 2012-2013 mid-year proposed adjustments as outlined in this briefing.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we'll take a vote on it. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Okay, moving on. We're now going to go over the report of the Investment Committee regarding our reinvestment of matured investments. Item
Okay.
D3, I believe.
Okay. So yes, last we have the Investment Committee report, and on January 21st, the Investment Committee met to discuss investment options for maturing GE bond of approximately $102,581. The committee recommended investing these funds in LAIF, which stands for Local Agency Investment Fund, due to the overall low yield in other investments and the desired liquidity that is provided by LAIF, and that the board approves such recommendation. So I will also need a motion if the board approves of that to invest those funds in LAIF in the amount of $102,581.
I'd like to make a motion on that.
Well, I'd like to ask a question
Sure.
prior to that.
I second.
And why?
No more questions.
And why-
Taking a vote.
Robert's Rules of Order, you're good.
And while I indeed agree that we should invest the monies in LAIF, I'm wondering why they gave us a 3-year CD interest rate quote when we can't even use a 3-year. Why wouldn't they give us a 2-year? I'm thinking it would be less than what the 3-year is, but I'd like to see that on here anyway, as in terms of what that interest rate would be for that instrument.
Director Casey, that it was such a minuscule, ridiculous delta between the 0-year, 1-year, 2-year, and 3-year. It was.
Yes.
I think it was going to net the district like another maybe $5 or $10.
I understand it was probably close.
So the risk factor in tying up the money did not outweigh the benefit of the interest rate. So
Yeah, no, I understand all that. I was just wondering why it wasn't published in here if that's all we can use, is the 2-year.
Because that's what the committee discussed.
Okay, so
Staff-
they only provided the
Bring our
3-year, not the
recommendations.
2-year.
Staff came to us on the investment committee.
Right.
With here are the type of investments per our policy we can look at.
Which I understand.
Here are the current rates of return.
Yep.
Which you understand. And then, as Director Kaler just mentioned, is the amount of gain that we would get and not be liquid. Just made it a very easy discussion
Yeah.
to have. So I'm just going to leave it at that.
Oh,
And
that's fine.
the other thing I want to mention is part of the reason we need to be liquid is, as you know, from a cash flow, when the county shorted us, call it 4 months ago, what we thought we were coming in, we need the liquidity to keep payroll and keep expenses up as the county gives money when they feel like money, and they were a little late this year. So the whole concept is liquidity and cash flow. And this is what the Budget Committee has brought to the table. We have a motion on the floor to accept it, and I believe we have a second, so.
All right, yeah, well, since I now know that it's close between the 2 and 3 year,
Yeah,
I've
It's
got
a
all the
bad-
information I need.
it's a bear market.
That's
so,
fine.
yeah.
Yes, indeed it is.
So let's take a vote on this. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? There we have it.
I do have a question on page 157 of 219. I just wanted some clarification. It says that the authorized caller is Henry Tabawada. Has that been changed?
Oh, no.
Actually, we're in the process of doing that.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
Okay, instead of moving to our consent calendar, I would like to move back to our presentations, where I've got a presentation that I would like to make. I'd like to call the principal of Weaver. Come on up here and state your name for everyone.
Hi, my name is Erin Kaminsky, and I'm the principal at Weaver School.
Thank you.
Wonderful Weaver School.
All right.
Very proud of all of our schools. 4 of Los Alamitos grade schools are here within Rossmoor. And whenever one does well and gets accolades, I think it's important to stop our business and do some acknowledgements. I personally read in the Times that you're a gold star. Can you tell us a little bit about your recent achievement?
The Orange County Register has their own ranking formula that they come up with, and they give out gold, silver, and bronze medals, and Weaver was awarded a gold medal this year for the 5th year in a row from the Orange County Register based on not only our academic scores, but also a combination of our school environment. So they have a secret formula. Nobody really knows what it is, but we're very grateful to be on their top 10 list.
And there was also a special recognition for the fact that you were on that top 10 list for all 5 years.
That is correct. We are one of the only schools that have maintained that ranking since they've been doing it for 5 years. So currently, Weaver has the highest API score in all of Orange County. So we technically, if you look at scores, we rank at the top, and so it's really nice that we get to be in their top 10 list every year. Just really exciting. It's a true attest to our staff and our community that come out and work hard for kids.
Well, congratulations. You do us
so
very
much.
proud. I have a proclamation in recognition of that.
Thank you.
Whereas public schools are the backbone of our democracy, providing young people with the tools they need to maintain our nation's precious values of freedom, civility, and equality. And whereas Orange County is home to 379 public elementary schools, and whereas Rossmoor's own Weaver Elementary School has achieved the designation as one of Orange County's Register's top 10 elementary schools. And whereas Weaver is ranked number 5 this year and has been a top 10 school for all 5 years of the Orange County Register, where they have ranked elementary schools. And whereas in order to achieve this designation, schools must have a near-perfect blend of academic achievement, award recognition, coupled with strong student body diversity and physical fitness. And whereas Weaver Elementary School provides a safe, healthy, and nourishing learning environment for their students, and whereas Weaver is continuously involved in their students' education and committed to their success in school. Now therefore, I, Michael Maynard, serving as president of Rossmoor Community Service District in Rossmoor, California, do hereby proclaim this year's number 5 ranked school, Weaver Elementary, as an exceptional elementary school and an asset to the community of Rossmoor. I urge that we observe this day by taking time to recognize and acknowledge the important role of teachers in making public education great for their students.
Thank you so much. And I would just very quickly like to just say thank you on behalf of all of the staff and students and all of my fellow colleagues in Rossmoor, that our principals out there, we all work really hard, and it's really nice to end our day like this. So thank you so much. We really appreciate it. I will go back and share this with everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on, we're going to move to our consent calendar. These items are expected to be routine, non-controversial, be acted upon the board of directors at one time. If any board member requests that an item be removed from the consent calendar, it shall be removed by the president so that it may be acted upon separately. Do we have any requests for separating items out?
Nope. I'd like to remove item 4,
Okay.
quarterly recreation report.
We will remove item number 4. Where is that?
Good evening.
Oh,
Good
hello,
evening.
Emily.
Can we do that?
This is E4.
Yeah, I have to find it first. Yep, got it. Okay, I just have a couple of questions, and the questions pertain to page 195 of 219, if you have that.
Which page of the report is that?
Of the
Second page of your
report,
report.
Page,
it's the second page of the summary, if that helps.
It starts with recreation staff is currently working on the following projects.
Correct. And the first item is adding a sponsorship and fundraising policy and packet. I'm not sure exactly what that means in terms of.
What that would do is encompass the opportunity for businesses, individuals to potentially offer a sponsorship for one of our events, whether it be concerts, movies. Currently there's no policy in place to accept any kind of donation or sponsor to provide any sort of monies, donations, supplies, equipment for any of those events. And so in order to do so, we need to adopt a sponsorship policy and packet to offset some costs of those events.
Right, so these people would know about that opportunity through.
We would advertise, we would put out press releases, something
Okay.
would most likely go on our website.
That would be the most obvious.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, very good. And the other question I have is the next item below that, the coordinating of special event requests with the County of Orange, since they're getting so aggressive. The paragraph that starts with due to the county permitting requirements, the indication is that they're in, and we already knew this, that they're getting a lot more strict about issuing permits and the cost of these permits in terms of what that's going to turn out to be. Do we have any more information in terms of?
I just received hard numbers yesterday. I forwarded those on to the general manager, and until the actual permit goes through the process, there's several areas that have to look at an application for a special event request. There's special events, there's the OCFA, you have to make sure you're meeting fire regulations if you bring in additional canopies. The building inspector has to inspect whether or not there's going to be a stage. Then an engineer needs to have an on-site electrical inspection of any generators being used, if there's any outlets that are being utilized in the facility where the extension cord extends to the actual event. So there's about 5 different areas that have to look at each special event permit request, and we are obligated to go through the permitting requirements with the county.
I definitely understand that.
Yeah.
Does it appear that it's the cost for doing this and the time is going to be pretty onerous, and?
Yeah,
is that
it's a
difficult
lengthy
to say?
process. It's a lengthy process. For each area, there's different permit requirements.
Yes.
Different applications that need to be submitted. Some of it's duplicate information, but it's required to be submitted. And additionally, there's on-site inspections that need to be conducted, which the district will be responsible for paying for as well.
Right.
So that we're using the community festival as kind of a
Test case?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll know more once the permits do get approved for that actual event.
Okay.
But until those permits are approved, we won't know of the actual cost for the event. But I was told that it would be, we couldn't include all of the events in one. It would have to be separate fees for each event.
Right. It'll be interesting to find out exactly how this all turns out.
Hopefully not too expensive.
Not sure. Yeah, or too time-consuming, which is equally bad.
It's pretty time-consuming.
Right. Okay, well, I appreciate your efforts on that, that's for sure. And those are the only questions I have, so thank you so much.
Do you have one?
Yeah, I just wanted to know, do you see the increased permit cost as being a deterrent to some organizations wanting to have an event?
The Los Alamitos Girls Softball League just had their event this last weekend, and their costs were not as substantial as we initially thought they would be. So that's could be due to the fact that the vendor has previously pulled permits through Orange County, and generators that were used were under a certain wattage that didn't require the on-site inspections, and it didn't require it to go through different permitting procedures. So, I'm sorry, what was it again? You were
No, I
asking?
was just wondering, it seems like the permit fees are rising.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just wondering if you foresee some future events, some organizations being deterred from having future events just simply due to the increased costs.
Yeah, it would all depend if they're nonprofit. That would factor in as well. And then what I did this year is I looked at the budget for the concerts and had more local bands offer to play here that were substantially less in costs, and kind of decreased the budget there to offset what permitting fees would be. So, but there was not much I could do with the movies, since that's a set cost and we do rent from an organization. Right. So,
thank you.
I might have a couple questions. We're on the subject of the community festival. Number one, in your review, to the extent that Rossmoor is visibility has increased, we're now a community that's deemed to be a desirable place to reside in California, and obviously one of the top 10 in the United States. Has that increase in popularity for the community at all brought more attention, more phone calls to you to have vendors or associations want to participate in this event?
In special events, specifically, I've actually seen the special event requests decrease over the past few years, specifically due to our policy that we only reserve picnic sites now to residents and to local youth organizations. So that has deterred several people from wanting to hold a special event function here. In the past, we received several people would just want to come in and have their own carnival in the park. And
what about the community festival? Again, with regards to our status being published as a desirable place to reside, has the community festival drawn vendors, small little restaurants, food trucks, realtors to want to participate now more so? Or
I'm not sure on the sponsorship status of that. If Bev's here, she may know a little bit more. But regarding food trucks, Rossmoor is very desirable. Everybody wants to get involved with Rossmoor. I don't know how many, every day I come into the office, I have a message from some band that wants to play in Rossmoor. They want to come to the concerts. They want to play in the concerts. They want to play in the community festival. There's always been a big interest, and specifically more so now, I think, due to the desirability of the community. But when you look at restaurants coming into the community festival, there's health department codes that have to be followed. So food trucks, what we're hoping, or the committee is hoping, is that food trucks will be brought in this year, which would not require additional health permits due to the fact that those food trucks already are permitted through the county.
They're already permitted.
Mm-hmm. But there's always been, I think last year there were over 90-something vendors. It's a popular place to be.
Thank
Any more questions for Emily here? Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay, going back to the consent calendar, I would like to call out the minutes separately because I cannot vote on the minutes from the last meeting since I was not in attendance. So let's vote on the minutes first, and then we'll go over the rest of the pack. So all in favor for the minutes per the consent, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? I abstain. Okay, for consent items 2, 3, 4, and 5, all in favor say aye.
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 Oppose? None. We do not have any public hearings tonight, so we're going to move straight over to Agenda G, which is resolutions. We have 3 on the books tonight. Ms. Montana, can you please take us through item number 1?
Yes. Mr. President, members of the board, agenda item G1 is resolution number 13-02-12-01. It establishes the annual budget revenues and expenditures mid-year budget adjustment total amounts for fiscal year 2012-2013 for the Rossmoor Community Services District. By policy and state law, you're required to amend the budget by resolution, and the resolution has been prepared for this purpose. I recommend you now resolve by roll call vote to establish the annual budget revenues and expenditures mid-year budget adjustment amounts for 2012-2013 as specified in attachment A.
Director Coletta?
Aye.
Director Casey?
Aye.
Director Kaler?
Aye.
Director Rips?
Aye.
President Maynard?
Aye.
Should I move on to the next resolution? Okay. Agenda item G2, resolution number 13-02-12-02. Mr. President, members of the board, a claim has been filed against the district in the amount of $11,038.82. Our insurer, SDRMA, has recommended that we formally reject by resolution. I recommend the board resolve to do so by roll call vote.
Director Coletta?
Aye.
Director Casey?
Aye.
Director Kaler?
Aye.
Director Rips?
Aye.
President Maynard?
Aye.
And lastly, agenda item G3, resolution number 13-02-12-03. California Government Code requires every state and local agency to adopt a conflict of interest code. This resolution adopts the standard model conflict of interest code as recommended by the county clerk. I recommend that the board resolve to adopt such conflict of interest code as included in agenda by roll call vote.
Director Coletta?
Aye.
Director Casey?
Aye.
Director Kaler?
Aye.
Director Rips?
Aye.
President Maynard?
Aye. Okay, we do not have a regular calendar tonight, so we'll bring this over to general manager items. Ms. Montana?
Yes, I just have a couple things. First of all, I'd just like to communicate to the board that President Maynard and I had the opportunity to meet with the Los Alamitos Unified School Superintendent, Dr. Sherry Kropp, and I believe that we had a very constructive meeting in discussing school safety issues and the implementation of communication procedures in case of a crisis. We all agreed that improvements can be made in this area, and we'll work on implementing a system to do so. We were also able to educate the superintendent more about our district, and we informed the superintendent that without the latent power of policing, that the district isn't allowed by law to contribute funds for staffing an SRO, which they had requested us to do. And finally, I'd just like to remind the residents that there will not be any street sweeping this Monday due to the President's holiday, but that street sweeping will be made up the following week. And that concludes my comments.
Okay. We're now on board member items.
Do we, President Maynard, do we have a special segment now for any report from Mr. Taboada moving forward, or is it just on like on an ad hoc basis?
That is a very good question. Currently, our format says general manager items, which is Chris. It doesn't have anything else. So moving forward, Henry, or Mr. Tabwada, would you do presentations to us, or how do we move forward? Because we miss your voice. We miss you.
Public forum? Or?
Mr. Public Forum, there we go. You're just
Like an
public forum
agenda
now.
item.
Mr. President, members of the board, I typically keep the board advised through group memos advising you of my activities, and I think that's the appropriate forum for keeping you apprised of my activities, and you can direct me at any board meeting to take on a project, and that's perfectly acceptable, and I can report out the findings of that project if you desire. But no, there's no need for me to have any part of the agenda.
Okay.
Okay. That answers your question.
There we go. So we're back to board member items. Alfred?
Well, I'd like to begin with applauding Liz Deering regarding the iPad research, cost savings, and all the attachments, and to the extent the staff assisted you, Liz, as well. I want to acknowledge them, but I think you had your finger in that pie predominantly, at least from my point of view, and I think you did a very good job of vetting out where the tire hits the road and all the other communities that are already ahead of the curve in this particular area of moving towards going paperless. And whether we adopt it or not, I don't want it to take away from the applause you should be given for all the materials tonight, because it was overwhelming and it was well documented. I know you personally, perhaps with others as well, visited other communities, city councils, and met with city managers and their staff to present to us a broad-based snapshot of what other people are doing. And the legal ramifications were discussed, as well as issues that one takes for granted that did not come to the surface. You seem to present them, and I want to thank you for that. And I think it's going to make for a good, well-rounded decision, whichever way we go in the future. Henry, you brought something up as far as taking on tasks, so I'm going to throw this to the manager, but if it's appropriate to go to the expertise you may have, it's the following. We discussed tonight the possibility of having security cameras and the costs of that project be something that be deemed for discussion at a future time for fiscal year 2012-2013 as far as expenditures that were outlined. And they were done with a broad brush stroke, the costs. I wanted to go back a bit further, and this is truly out of ignorance that I asked this, but I don't know the answers. I know other communities have cameras at strategic places in their community. I don't know to what extent the poll cameras located in each city are maintained by those cities, or is there, in the sense of other communities that are unincorporated, where they may have poll cameras, who oversees the technology and the images that are captured? Is that the contract with the sheriff? Is that through a contract with the police department that they may have? I don't know who oversees that, if there is an agency. And I was wondering whether us jumping in with both feet and assuming the responsibility and the costs, I'm wondering if we should see what other agencies are doing with regards to maintaining those systems, making them available for law enforcement, obviously for forensic work. But I'm wondering also, should we entertain going to the county through the sheriff to see what the sheriff has to say on this? I know the sheriff made a comment that they weren't going to maintain or inferentially maintain them. I was wondering if the county would contribute towards the installation of poll cameras. It seems to be a necessary and viable tool law enforcement for many municipalities have in their communities that they police, and I'm wondering why won't the county contribute to this? Why does it have to come from the RCSD's coffers exclusively?
Would you like a response to that?
I don't know the answers.
Yes, please respond.
Mr. President, members of the board, I anticipate bringing to you at the time of the fleshing out of that project a report much like you've just received for the iPad project that would give you all of the various components of the project, the potential costs of the project, the maintenance of the equipment, the capturing of the data, and the use of the data once it's been obtained, et cetera. I've done some preliminary work on that already, and I can tell you that my conversation with Captain Doan of the Orange County Sheriff's Department was that they would welcome our involvement in providing that resource to the community and for their use, but that they could not even advocate for us to do that, because that is not something that they are involved with unincorporated communities. Typically, cameras of this type are purchased and maintained by cities. For instance, I met with Costa Mesa last week, and they have a security camera system for both of their city hall and their adjacent park, and it's totally maintained by that city. And of course, they have their own police department, so it's an integrated process. For us, it would be a little bit more complex, because assuming that this board was approved such a project and set funds aside for it, it would be basically an independent project of the district. Like I said, the sheriff would welcome the use of the information, but would not be a willing partner with us in that. So if the sheriff's not that willing partner, then I doubt that the county would have any financial interest in it as well. But that's something we can explore.
Just one last question. Where the municipalities bear the cost of the system, is it something that has that you've found that the police departments for those municipalities oversaw the maintenance and also the installation of the systems?
Well, cities typically have, like I say, their own police departments, and they also have their own IT departments, and then they have their own administrative staff. In Costa Mesa, for instance, there's 3 units that monitor the data, and that is the executive office, because they have a CEO's office, the IT department, and the parks department, since they also are responsible for parks. So it's a tripart arrangement as to who monitors and who IT maintains. Others have access to the data and use it, and the PD, of course, is the main beneficiary of the information once it's captured. So, like I said, for this district, it would be a much more complex matter, because we're all in one. We don't have these.
Actually, it might be simpler.
It might be. But I'll be bringing back to you a report with all of the data, all of the options, the costs, and what other cities do and how they do it, and have you first through the CIP committee and then to the board a recommendation on whether or not this is something that is worthwhile doing.
Thank you.
Director Casey? I recently attended the Independent Special Districts of Orange County, better known as ISDOC, quarterly meeting. And the featured speaker was Sean Nelson, who is the chairman of the Orange County Board of Supervisors. And he gave a long list of initiatives, very aggressive initiatives that are being considered by the current board, some of which I'll enumerate, the ones I consider the more important. They want to spend like about $3 million on a new homeless shelter that possibly will be at what they call the old bus terminal in Santa Ana, because currently for the homeless folks down there, all they have are like some armories, I think in Fullerton and also in Santa Ana, where they can go for shelter. A second initiative was they want to develop a new regional park in Santa Ana. I don't know all the details, but it's going to be approximately 80 acres if they're able to do that. And the third initiative I found rather intriguing was they want to finish off a 70-mile bike trail loop, which currently, as I understand it, goes
Part of it goes along the Santa Ana River Trail, and then additional portions of it that don't entirely connect go along the coast through Huntington Beach and Newport Beach, if I understand correctly. But he was stressing that how much it would improve the quality of life if they're able to go through with the entire project. And I think these are all very wonderful things, but as soon as he'd finished talking about that, he was discussing the cost to the county for like employee benefits. It's like he was saying their salaries have not gone up that much, but the cost of their benefits and pensions are becoming very expensive. And also, I think as we all know, the situation with the VLF license fee, approximately $73 million in costs, is currently being litigated between the county and the state. And Mr. Nelson was very optimistic about the lawsuit, but I'm sure if you talk to the state is probably also very optimistic. So anyway, those are my notes on his talk. And secondly, the LAFCO report was given by John Withers instead of Charlie Wilson, who was not available to give it. And he made a comment that I think we may use to our advantage. He was saying that LAFCO is now saying that they want to be more of a resource rather than a cop in terms of policing everything. So in our dealings with them, hopefully, we can remind them if there's any difficulties in our process of their maybe new charter or however you want to take this. And his other comment that, among others he made, was that there's at least 2 cities in the Inland Empire that are considering disincorporation. And in addition to the problems in San Bernardino, where they've recently declared bankruptcy, it appears that maybe the wave of the future for certain communities is to become like Rossmoor and be unincorporated. So, those are the items that I found the most interesting and informative from the meeting. And lastly, I want to congratulate Mr. Mike Maynard on his selection as our new board president. And I believe we're in very good hands under his capable leadership. So I'm looking forward to a very good year with Michael. And that's all I have.
Thank you for that update.
Oh, yeah, you're quite welcome.
Director Rips.
I got nothing tonight. Thank you.
There you go. Director Kaler.
Well, I've got something. So I will take up the time that he was going to use on mine, but they'll be quick.
Second thought.
Yeah, too late, passed. Emily, I just wanted to commend you and your staff for your work this past weekend with the weekend carnival, as well as for district staff. I showed up early just to kind of check it out here, and they were out here policing, giving good guidance to the softball league. They were here late. They were helping to pick up, and softball was picking up stuff, and so it was just really, really good. And I was very, very proud to see them out there wearing their RCSD shirts and roaming around the whole day. So please tell them good job for me on that. Emily, also, can you or whoever would do this, can you please request that the guy from softball comes and speaks to us on like a monthly basis and just tells us what's going on in that open public forum time? That's a good minute. He doesn't need more than that, but it just gives good visibility so we know what's going on from their perspective at least. I would appreciate that. Liz, great job on the cost analysis on the iPads. That's real impressive stuff.
Thank you.
Michael, great job on your first meeting, although I think I did a better job last week, but that's up to me. And then finally, General Manager Montana, can you please still request, in light of all of the incidents that are continuing to happen with people out in the communities and things of this nature, that the deputy stays for the duration of the meeting?
Okay.
I don't know where he or she went, but we've made this request in the past, and
Okay.
it would be nice if they could stay.
Okay.
Okay, I mean, it's only 8:15, the meeting started at 7, so I think they could have stayed another 15 minutes or so. So, and with that, that's all I have.
Okay. Thank you, Ron, and thank you, Bill, for the kind words. This is my third administration, if you will. I started off with Jeffrey as president, followed by Alfred. I think you have done a good job of demonstrating how to be at this desk, how to be at this dais, and how to lead not only the board, the staff, but also how to connect with the community. And I hope that I will do you guys proud. Also, I have a new listing of our committee assignments that I would like to announce. On the audit committee for this administration, it will be Bill Kahlert and myself. The budget committee remains the same with Bill Kahlert and Jeffrey Rips. The CIP committee, I'm removing myself and adding you, Alfred, to work along with Jeffrey. In the investment committee, I'm pulling myself and adding you, Jeffrey, to work along with Bill Kahlert. Ron, you will still be the ISDOC representative. Our Los Al ad hoc committee will be Alfred as well as Ron. The Mayor's Consortium representative will be myself, Bill is my alternate. The RCSD RHA committee, I will still lead that. Rossmoor Advisory Committee, we're leaving the current leadership there with Alfred and myself. Rossmoor Shops of Committee, hopefully we don't have to meet, but if threats do occur, it will be Bill Kahlert and myself, as well as the Shops at Rossmoor Committee. Ron, if anything happens and we need to be involved, you and I will continue in that route. Trees Parkways Committee, which is a lot of park utilization and newer committee, that's Bill and Jeffrey as well. And then lastly, Ron, you're going to continue as the WCC OCTA representative for our board. These are the committee assignments. I think we're all in good hands. I try to always keep the leadership and the organizational history there. So we have leadership on all of these committees, and I look forward to working with each of you this year and having a very good 2013. And with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
So motioned.
Is there a second?
Second.
Meeting adjourned.